Bom dia. Well, first of all, I'd like to announce that today I reached 100 subscribers to my YouTube channel, Living Abroad in Brazil. Thank you so much. It took me 7 months to reach 100 subscribers, but I'm happy to have 100, and I hope that in 2025 the number of subscribers grows. You know, it's not my primary goal to become monetized, but my primary goal is just to use this as a forum for expressing my thoughts and ideas and experiences here living in Brazil. But if someday I do reach 1,000 subscribers, I would be very happy. So I encourage everybody to like and subscribe if you feel like it. And thank you. Obrigado. Gracias. Well, I'm starting the long walk from my condominium to the center of town, which takes 1 hour. It's very hot. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. It's possible that when I get to the motorcycle taxi stand in about 15 minutes that I'll decide to take a motorcycle taxi, but we'll see. Anyway, well, I'm waiting for a motorcycle taxi here at the motorcycle taxi stand. Just too darn hot. Anyway, what I want to talk about today is cost of living and realistic and unrealistic expectations of people who move abroad for the first time. We've all watched YouTube videos with titles like "Live in Southeast Asia for $1,000 a month," "Live in South America for $800 a month," "Live in Eastern Europe for $1,200 a month." And I don't want to say that those titles and subjects are misleading or a lie. You certainly can live here in Brazil, for example, for $1,000 or less. When I, about 2 years ago, the content creator of a very wildly popular Live Abroad YouTube channel contacted me and asked to interview me, and the title of the video that I appear in is, I'll put a link below. The title of the video I appear in is "Living in Brazil for $500 a month." And it's true, my budget was at that time, 2 years ago, $500 a month, and in preparation for the video I had it all written out, item by item, rent, utilities, food, transportation, etc. And it came to about, I think it was like $520 a month, equivalent of $520 a month. And what I didn't realize, though, is how people would respond to that. I got a lot of responses. Somehow they found me, although it wasn't my channel. They found me, they even found me on Facebook. I didn't get my full name, but people are creative in finding you. Wanting to instantly know how they could move here. No, sorry. How they could instantly move here to my little city and pay the rent that I was paying at that time, equivalent of $185 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a condo complex with a swimming pool and a gym. How do they get on a plane and come here and live here on $520 a month like I do? And I got quite a few of those kind of questions and requests, and I said, uh-oh. While I was completely telling the truth about my reality, that most certainly would not be the reality for these people who, some of who had never lived abroad, never been to Brazil before, didn't speak a word of Portuguese. There was no way that they would land on their feet and find a living situation equivalent to mine, especially without the local language. And whether they landed in Brazil or Mexico or Vietnam or Thailand, they weren't going to live on $600 or $800 or even $1,000 a month upon arrival. You got to learn how to do that. I certainly, when I first moved to Brazil, was not able to live on $500 or $600 a month, a budget of that amount. Simply impossible. I had very limited Portuguese. I had no local contacts. I had no idea what prices really were. The kinds of apartments and goods and services that were accessible to me were all priced for gringos. And so my monthly expenses were much higher than they later were. And that's the message I want to give here. These YouTube videos, channels that talk about living on these very low monthly budgets are based in reality, but not to someone who's just landed, fresh off the boat, so to speak. Okay, I'm back home now, out of that intense heat and sun. It's much more comfortable here. I hope the sound of the fan is not bothering you. Anyway, I got lots of messages from people who living in suburban America who were feeling overwhelmed by the cost of living there, were excited by the idea of a budget of $500 or $600 a month, a rent for a nice apartment for $185 a month, and were ready to get on a plane and move here, and wanted me to help them get an apartment in my condo complex. Well, it ain't that easy. First of all, it's Brazil. It's as the famous Brazilian composer Tom Jobim once said, Brazil is not for beginners, and that is so true. First of all, I mean, you can come here on a tourist visa for 90 days, and even get that extended for another 90 days for a total of 6 months, and then you've got to leave the country for 6 months before you can come back. But I mean, if you're thinking of moving here long term, to take advantage of these low prices on rent, etc. Well, first of all, you got to get some basic Portuguese under your belt. But more importantly, you have to have a visa, a residency visa. There are different types, but that's not something you get overnight. And that's not only for Brazil, for any country. I think some Americans are naive about oh, well, I'm American, I have an American passport, I can go anywhere I want, for as long as I want. Well, I think my viewers know that's not true, but unfortunately that's, some Americans are rather innocent or naive, and I was getting responses like that. No, it's a process that has to be started in the United States, applying for resident visa. You have to qualify for it. There are different categories, spousal visas, retirement visas. Some countries have, some don't. Study abroad visas. What is that one called? Where you're working tech. I forget the name. But those kind of visas. First of all, you got to find a visa that you qualify for. Then you've got to meet certain income requirements. You got to get your vaccines. You got to get FBI clearance, etc., etc., etc. So it's not just a matter of jumping on a plane, and because someone on the internet talked about his super inexpensive condo in a small city in an off-the-beat track place in the world, means that you're going to be able to do it if you have no experience or knowledge under your belt. And then the other kind of response, much fewer, but then there was the snarky response, sometimes from Brazilians themselves, and said that, accused me of lying, of being a liar. Oh no, these numbers are impossible. $600 a month, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a condo with a pool and a gym for $185 a month. He's lying. Well, I'm not lying, but I'm not living in Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo either, the two most expensive cities in Brazil. These kind of comments were coming from people who had never lived in a state like Bahia, which you might consider like the Brazilian equivalent of a state in America's deep south, where cost of living is much, much lower. I'm not living in Manhattan, the Brazilian Manhattan, or the Brazilian Beverly Hills. So they needed to get their heads out of Rio de Janeiro, Ipanema, or Sao Paulo's wealthy neighborhoods. So, you know, I saw a lot of these both kinds of comments, and I realized that in order to live anywhere for $800 or $1,000 a month, or $1,200 a month, as many of these YouTubes say you can do in various parts of the world. It is true, they're not lying, I was not lying, but it takes some planning and experience. I'm a big believer. Learn the local language. You know, I love to criticize places like Puerto Vallarta, and I love Mexico, let me preface with that, but Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, where I know gringos who move there and have lived there 5, 10, 20 years, they barely speak a word of Spanish. They're paying American prices at restaurants and for housing, because, you know, a place like Puerto Vallarta is a gringo gulch. It's a bubble, and you can find those in a lot of places in the world. But if you want the low prices, the low cost of living, you're not going to be able to live in those kind of places. You got to go where the locals, where the citizens of the country you're moving to live, and become part of their reality. So learning at least the basics and getting to a conversational, you don't have to be fluent by any means, although you should be working towards fluency over the course of your life, but conversational at least, but arriving at least with the basics is important. Having a bit of a nest egg, let's say you want to live on $1,200 a month, well, that's fine if you have an income of $1,200 a month, but you also need a minimum of 6 months of savings. $1,200 a month times 6, whatever the hell that is, $8,000 a month minimum, because inevitably startup costs, emergencies, unexpected expenses are going to come up. So your first months, your first year is going to be more costly. It'll slowly come down, your costs, as you gain more experience, as you meet more people who can help you. And that's the next point. You need to build relationships in your new country, in your new home. Family, if you marry. Friendships, people you can trust, who can help clue you in, introduce you to the ways and the costs of local people. You can't be isolated unless you're living in a gringo gulch like Puerto Vallarta, my favorite whipping boy, or other places like that, Cancun, or you know, every country has them. Most countries do. So when you see these videos, including that interview I did, including my own video on this channel I just a few weeks ago, showing that my current monthly budget is, I believe I made it 620, had gone up. Actually, costs have gone down. In the 3 years I've lived here, my costs have gone down, and that's because the Brazilian currency, the real, the value has gone down as the dollar, the strength of the dollar has gone up. Who knows how long that's going to last? But I now take an expensive medication, Ozempic. You probably heard about it. I take it for diabetes, so that's increased my monthly cost. That cost me about over $100 a month. Anyway, and those kind of variables pop up, by the way, so you got to plan for them. Have a little cushion. I came here without a cushion. I still don't have much of a cushion, but I speak Portuguese fluently. I've been living here and coming here for 25 years now. I have lots of experience under my belt, and I have in-laws here who are always ready to jump in, help me, find something for me, negotiate for me, and they have my back. But when I first arrived in Brazil, I didn't have any of that, and I was, spending money like it was going out of style. So I just wanted to give that reality check to these videos about, living in Timbuktu on $400 a month. Probably you can, but not fresh off the boat. So give yourself a break. Don't burden yourself with unrealistic expectations from the very get-go. And that's my message today. For those of you who are considering moving abroad, I really want you to do it, and for it to be successful, and not for you to get frustrated and give up and go back home with your tail between your legs. No, there's a learning curve there. But yes, and yes, you can live abroad on $800, $1,000, $1,200 a month, and in some more expensive countries, $1,500 a month, which is certainly doable on a pension, a Social Security, or if you're a younger person working online, for example, teaching English. Yes, you can. Si se puede. Pode. Pode sim. So, thanks for joining me and listening to my little reality check. Rain finally in the forecast. Thank God. It's been well over a month since we've had a drop of rain. It's been unusually hot in the mid-90s, when normal temperatures here in summer are in the, at most, upper 80s. Hasn't rained in almost a month and a half, and the weather forecast, I hope it's true and comes true. Starting late this afternoon, it's going to start raining, and rain, at least for the broadcast says, the next 10 days. The next 10-day forecast shows rain on every single day forecast. So I hope that's true. The plants outside need it. The lawn outside is turning brown. Animals and birds that I see hopping around need that water. The land and the people need the water. So, rain, come. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great one. See you soon. Beijos. Ciao.